Joining us now for more is former KGB agent Jack Barsky. He is also the author of the book Deep Undercover: My Secret Life and Tangled Allegiances as a KGB Spy in America. Jack, thank you for being with us. First of all, there's this theory that Prigozhin may actually not be dead. It's interesting. If you look back, 2019, there was another plane crash where Prigozhin was supposed to be dead, and then he was actually alive. And there are some out there who think he may not have actually been on the plane. Do you think that that could be a possibility, Jack?
Well, thank you for raising that question. In that situation right now, there are way more questions than there are answers. And you got to take one thing into consideration. This is a war zone. In a war zone, words become weapons, propaganda, misinformation. On top of it, you have two key players who are very, very clever. And the moment that Vladimir Putin opens his mouth, he's very likely to lie. And the other guy is just as clever. And you just pointed out that example. There is, at this point, no proof to make a definitive statement as to what happened. It is very plausible that Putin finally assassinated Prigozhin, but it is not proven. And again, the manifest for that flight could be a forgery. And initially there were like eight people found, and then somewhere I read 10 people found, but they're totally they cannot be identified. So now they have to do a DNA test. I predict that DNA testing will take a long time, and maybe the whole thing will fizzle out. So sorry, there are no definitive answers. And if somebody goes out and makes some at their own risk, making a mistake. So, and I won't make it. I won't predict anything. Sorry.
Right. Well, listen, you were in the KGB. I mean, what goes on behind the scenes if Putin actually is behind this, which it obviously appears that he is? An operation like this, how is it planned? Is there a special part of the government that carries it out so it remains secret? Sort of take us behind the scenes on something like this.
Yes, that would have to be a very, very small number of people, most likely coming out of the GRU, because that's the most effective, the most efficient intelligence service that they have in Russia now. And see, the Russian intelligence inherited their DNA from the KGB. And the one thing that the KGB was very, very good at, it was compartmentalization and keeping the number of people that know something very small, so that when Putin comes out and makes a statement, there's not a single person who is both knowledgeable and also brave or fundamentally suicidal to contradict Vladimir Putin in public. That's the only way this kind of thing could have been planned and executed. But again, I do not exclude the possibility that Prigozhin did this, and because he and his group was very security conscious. There's no known incident where they had five people, high-level people of the Wagner group on the same plane. And how did Prigozhin get to Moscow? Has he been traced? He supposedly was in Africa. As I said, questions and more questions. And I'm very, very happy that the Pentagon is very, very careful with regard to what they're saying in the public, and also President Biden is very careful. This is appropriate at this point.
Yeah, what you just said is the first thing I thought. Like, why would Prigozhin have gotten on this plane with other senior leaders? I mean, they seem much smarter than that, and then be flying over Russia. That part just never really made much sense to me. And the other thing I'm wondering, Jack, is if the U.S. is saying it may not have been a surface-to-air missile, does that mean that Putin would have had to somehow gotten a bomb on the plane? That seems a lot more involved.
Yeah, and if I'm Prigozhin and his folks, I'm checking the plane.
Right,
it's a private plane. This is no way that they wouldn't have checked that plane. I mean, these guys they were some of the most ferocious warriors and extremely well trained. They don't make such stupid mistakes. So again, we may never know the truth.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.